Great news! Peninsula Volkswagen is offering cap price servicing on every model in the Volkswagen range. To check out our pricing and to book online, go to peninsulavw.com.au or call direct on 8781 8877. For the best service, all roads lead to Peninsula Volkswagen Frankston. LMCT 10703.
Me, DMac was the first one, and the closest I'd seen was going to watch the Globetrotters and see the sort of tricks that they did, but to see them in a game was amazing.
That was Chris Anstey, the coach of the Melbourne Tigers, the new coach of the Melbourne Tigers. We might have to just adjust that intro just a touch.
Yeah, I think the Jesselinka beauty might be just put away in mothballs until next season.
Because our special guest today, as we take a look down memory lane, is the superstar from the North Melbourne Giants, the Victorian Titans/Giants, and of course the Melbourne Tigers as well. Darryl McDonald, DMac, has joined us in the studio. G'day, DMac.
Woo. How you guys doing?
We're going very well. How you doing?
I'm all right. Could be a lot better.
Yes, it wasn't a great weekend for the Mighty Tigers.
Yeah, yesterday wasn't good.
But it is great to have you in the studio. It's a chance for us
our very first non-footballing Jesselinka
our
beauty
very
guest.
first. And you may not know too much about the segment, but we go down memory lane with our favourite sports stars of yesteryear. And you weren't that long ago, really. It hasn't been that long since you retired.
4 years, 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you started in you came out here in 1994 at 29, and I guess you might have thought I'm coming out for 2 or 3 years, and then you played for another 15 till you were 44.
I was hoping to be out here longer than that. I wasn't planning on playing that long, but it ended up playing in my favor. So finished playing at 43, and what more can I say?
Well, tell us about when you did come out. How did you end up? Because you were. It's a fascinating story from what I've read up that you were this young player on the courts around Harlem in New York and a lot of the street courts and things like that. You got picked up by a legendary college coach over there who feared for his life apparently when he came to see you play. And it says you told him to keep his head down and not look anyone in the eye when he.
It wasn't that bad. But I was a street ball player. And at the time, I wasn't really going. I wasn't going to school. It was more, I would go to school and just go to the park and play. So I was probably doing more. I was more working on my game than working on the books. But eventually, a junior college coach seen me. He came to watch me play in the summer league, and said, "Do you want to go to school?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" I had just got my diploma because you could just take a test to get your diploma. I just got my diploma. I said, "Yeah." So ended up going to junior college for 2 years, made All-American, and I left there, went to Texas A&M for 2 years. And
how did a boy from New York heading down to Texas? Did you?
It was different.
Was it?
Yeah, it was different. It's funny because I grew up in Harlem where I wouldn't say guns are the norm. They are, but you don't see them. And driving.
When you do see them, you don't want to see them.
You want the window up.
Yeah, that's the difference in Texas, guys, with the big trucks and the pickup trucks, and on the back, you see big shotguns, and I'm thinking, wow, coming from New York, just to see it wide open like that, it was different. It was a bit of a culture shock, but it turned out okay.
So, did you ever think when you're playing? Was it Rucker Park? Is that what I
played in Rucker
Park and those courts that? You ever think that anyone was out there watching, or was just a game to you, just something you did to fill in time with the boys after or during school?
The one thing about those leagues, there's always somebody watching, but you just don't know. You don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Guys are seeing, and that's funny because I always use when I was in junior college, when you're in JUCO, you get recruited to go to a big time school, and one day we training, and we was just joking around, playing around, and it was a University of Pittsburgh coach. Was sitting in the stands. Nobody knew who he was. Yeah. And he actually called out. He had called our head coach and said, I'll never recruit a player from your school just for that, because we was in there joking around. He said, you guys are not serious. You guys are. And since that day, that's what I tell always, whatever you do, you just work hard because you never know who's watching. And that's it. I end up getting lucky, to tell you the truth. A lot of it was word of mouth, and the guy.
What were your options if you didn't make a career out of basketball?
Just work, really. Just
and what sort of work? Construction or?
Yeah, really. I had one job because at the time I had 3 children, so I had my 3 boys.
By the time you were?
Before I went to junior college. Yeah, I had my 3 sons.
You weren't obviously on the court all the time, then.
There was a lot of time spent in the house. The difference is there wasn't. Compared to what it is today, not a lot of video games, not a lot of things like that. A lot more TV. You can't keep watching the same thing. So. It turned out. So working wise, I had to just had to get a job. I worked with my brother for a couple of years and got to end up getting a job working for Toys R Us, which was ideal. Actually.
Yeah.
Good at Christmas.
All right, yeah, exactly. It was around the Christmas time.
Gee, your sales have gone down since that DMac arrived in the warehouse. What's happening?
No, just you just got to work. And that's where my mother got to a point where she's like, dude, you made him, you take care of him.
And we see all these. We always see in the movies the crowds going nuts and these great pickup games and things like that. Was it like that, or
it is
you
like that.
You were known as the playground king? Is that right?
Not in Harlem.
Right.
I was known. My college coach gave me that name when I got to Texas A&M.
Okay.
On the playgrounds, I was known as Mr. Excitement.
Even better. Even better.
And that was my nickname. I reckon they gave it to somebody else now, so I
It's
don't
gone.
know. But that was my nickname there, and it is like that. Like it's really competitive. Like it's guys. You play against guys. Guys want to, because you got a name.
Yep. They want to take.
This is my opportunity.
And it gives you prestige in the
Exactly,
neighborhood.
exactly.
Being one of the
Just
the
walking
kingpins.
around, that was it was probably good for me because I was well known in the neighborhood. Even though I wasn't in the NBA, I was still well known in the neighborhood.
Because one of 8 boys,
because
were
I
you
played
the best
basketball.
in your family?
I think I turned
hope
out
so.
to be the best. I wouldn't say I was the best. One of my brothers played college basketball too. He went to Wake Forest University.
Yep.
So I learned a fair bit off him. I think I ended up the best because I ended up playing longer, and like he tried out in the NBA. He didn't make it. He played in Italy for 2 years. But my career just lasted longer.
So in the ladder of hierarchy in the playground, in the pickup games, where did Mr. Excitement sit amongst the Terminator, Master Rob, and Pookie Wilson?
I was in that group, and it's funny because we all used to play together. So I remember there was one summer where we was all on the same team everywhere we went.
Yeah.
And I would have played in about, this is no joke, I would have played in about 14, 15 tournaments in one summer. And we would all, it was different because we would all go to me and the Terminator go to one, and then me and Pookie would go to a different one. But I had Saturdays, Sundays, I'd be playing 3 games in one day. That's how it used to be back then.
Wow. So where would you travel? Was it just around
It's just
the
in the
neighborhoods?
neighborhood.
Or?
It was all in New York.
And was there, what was up for grabs? What was on the line?
Trophies back then. Then eventually, that was pretty. And speaking of a job, that was pretty much my summer job.
And it obviously does keep you out of trouble.
Yeah.
If there's temptations, if you love winning so much, you're not doing the wrong thing at night, or you're making sure you look after
yourself.
yourself.
You really just playing basketball, and that was really my job because the guys we used to play for, because and saying that their reputations was on the line too, because I wouldn't say what they did, but. Their reputations on the line.
Did it ever end up with any sort of confrontation? Because obviously there was a little bit of that feel of it's pretty raw out there.
Yeah, you have your days. I mean, I've been to a couple of games where guns get pulled out and parks get cleared out.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean? And there has been days like that, and it is a bit scary.
Was your brother shot in a?
My brother was stabbed, but this was when I was 8.
Right.
So it was 1972.
And not in basketball.
No, nothing to do with basketball. To be honest, I still don't know why. I honestly don't know. I just know I woke up one morning and went to, I got on the elevator. Elevator wouldn't come, so I would usually go down the stairs. This was my dad. I was staying with my dad because I used to go stay with my dad every summer. And I would just go down if the elevator don't come, I'll just walk down the steps, and I went to push the door and wouldn't open. So I'm pushing it, and I see him laying there. And I just went in the house and told him, I told him Eddie was dead. I just told my dad that, and he was like, okay, so he walked out. And when he just came, I just went downstairs. I didn't know. I was 8 years old.
So you're only 8.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just went downstairs and played.
Yeah.
And then eventually it hits you after you get older and realize that, you see him there. I'm thinking, I see you in about a couple of weeks. But you realize he's never coming back.
Yeah. Wow, that would be heavy.
Different. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
it was tough.
Particularly if you've got a big family of boys.
Yeah, and that was my
you'd be
oldest
pretty
brother.
tight too.
Yeah, that was my oldest brother. So I'm the youngest of 8.
Wow.
So, and he was my oldest.
And without wanting to go too deep into this for you, but would that happen often? Would you hear those stories often?
Yeah. I would say I would say I'm pretty lucky in that regard. Like I've only lost my brother to violence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I think about it, hasn't a nephew got shot, things like that. It does happen. Like
Yep.
you don't expect it. You don't want it to happen, but it does happen.
So when you see that going on and you live through that for however long, is it one of your goals to try and get out and take your family with you?
And that was my goal. You know what I mean? I'm still regretting that I couldn't take my mother out.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. You know, as a kid growing up, that's everybody's dream. You know what I mean? You know, you want to make the big money, buy your mother a house. That's everybody's dream. And that was a dream of mine, but financially wasn't doing it. And you know, the fact that you got with my children, got to take care of them. So it was really. It was tough, but even now, Mom, she understood. She understood that, it wasn't no big, "Oh, you better buy me a house." It wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't none of that. She understood what I was doing, but that was my plan. My plan was to try to get out because it's tough, man. You're living there, and as soon as you drugs, the whole neighborhood is drug infested. There's shootouts here and there all the time. You don't want to be on the end of one of those bullets.
Pressure to join gangs and things like that.
Yeah, or not. Back in New York, we didn't really have gangs. It was more about your block, or we would call them your crew. The people you hang out with, and there wasn't a lot of pressure. It was guys you grew up with that you look after one another. It was just plain and simple. If one get in a fight, we all get in a fight. You know what I mean? And it was a situation. It was but it's enticing. Because what you see, with the drugs, you see guys with the drugs. These are guys with all the money. These are guys with all the cars. These are guys with all the women. All the things that's going to entice you, and it's easy to get caught up into it. But what I still to this day, listen. You're either going to jail, you're either going to die, or you're going to jail, selling drugs or getting involved.
Not many happy
Plain
endings.
simple. It's not.
No.
You know what I mean? I think for some people, it's okay for the initial, but eventually. It's not good, and that's what I'm saying. That was another reason I wanted to get away. You know what I mean? And I like Brett Brown, even to this day. I still thank Brett.
Thank the man.
Yeah, because he's changed. He's just changed my life.